conditions at National Lead are not isolated. They represent the general exploitation and oppression that workers suffer throughout this country. The specific problems may be different, but the source of these terrible conditions are the same for all workers. It comes from the fact that a small class owns and controls the wealth of this land. This is the capitalist class, and it rules over the capitalist system under which we live. It is this system that drives the owners of industry to continually seek to increase their profits at the expense of us, the working class. These profits come directly from our labor. The owners see us as machines to be used as they choose in their never-ending push for more profits. They don't care if the work they have us do fills us with too much lead, or places burns all over our body, or gives us a bad back for life, or sends us home each day too tired to do anything but eat and sleep. This film is about class struggle, the struggle between the small group of wealthy owners, the capitalist class, and the masses of the working class. This struggle will come to an end only when the working class smashes this system that holds us in bondage and replaces the dictatorship of the capitalist class over us with the dictatorship of the working class, which means democracy for the people and dictatorship over the capitalist class. That time is coming. We see the mounting struggles all around us, and we at National Lead will play our role in these struggles.
May I introduce Mr. J.B. Henrich, President of National Lead, and I'm E.R. Rowley, Chairman of the Board. I'd like to make a statement of our environmental policy. As responsible citizens of the community in which we work and live, National Lead has always been aware of its obligation to conduct its operations in such a manner as to protect the welfare of our neighbors and our employees. We have a sincere interest in seeing that the communities of which we are a part grow, become prosperous.
National Lead Industries is a giant American industrial corporation with sales of over $1 billion. National Lead has 37 plants in foreign countries all over the world. It employs nearly 30,000 workers in the United States, and in 1972 showed a profit after taxes of nearly $63 million and had an average sales of over $40,000 per employee. The Morris P. Kirk plant in Vernon, California is part of this industrial empire. In the past 2 years, National Lead's own figures and the figures of the Federal Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, show that the levels of lead fume in the air at the LA plant are more than 11 times higher than the federal law is supposed to allow.
This is the position paper from the concerned steel workers at National Lead. National Lead Industries in Vernon is poisoning hundreds of workers with lead. Company blood lead counts show that over 40% of the employees have been absorbing an excessive amount of lead. In some departments, 3 out of 4 are absorbing excessive lead. Union tests on the workers confirm this fact. The management at National Lead has been unconcerned with the health of the workers and grossly negligent about cleaning up the plant. National Lead also refuses to recognize that many men at the plant are sick because of lead poisoning. We have not had any help in the past, nor do we expect any help in the future from the Air Pollution Control District or the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. And because of this, it's clear that any improvements that will come because of the actions of the men in the plant.
Since Eddie's been sick, it's been really hard for us to get by. With both of us sick, we aren't much help to each other. He's so irritable at times, I can't stand him, and he's been vomiting too much, it seems. And he's had a noticeable loss of weight, and his memory is really slipping a lot. All he wants to do is sleep or lay around the house, and he just seems like he just doesn't have any energy to do anything. His muscles and joints are so stiff and aches all the time, and when he does walk, all he wants to do is sit down. And when he sits still, sometimes I notice that he starts shaking all over like he has the DTs. He can't hear very well anymore, and this Dr. Dahlgren found that he even had lead underneath his gums. And these things, they just haven't started, not recently. They've started ever since he's been in the plant, and they just get worse and worse and worse. And now that we're expecting a baby, we're kind of afraid that, you know, since we did lose our first one, that maybe this one won't make it either. Because it sure doesn't look like it has a very good chance of my husband having lead poison.
Back in August, I saw 56 of you for purposes of evaluating lead poisoning among people who are working at National Lead. Since then, 30 of you have come into the office for more complete evaluation. We've found that many of you have serious effects from excessive lead in your body.
I have a steady constipation and everything, and getting sleepy, dizzy, have less sex drive, and tonight lose the appetite and everything else.
But let's talk about the things that will shorten your life. Things which will disable you much earlier than you would ordinarily be disabled. Things which will build up over a period of years and make you an old man before your time. The heart is damaged by lead. It becomes enlarged and filled with scar tissue.
Since I started working in that company, I started getting sick. I've been having sharp pains in my stomach, cramps in my legs, shaking, and every time I go in the back house upstairs, I run out of breath, and at the same time I feel dizzy.
We've also found a number of the men have damage to the nerves in their arms, and some have damage to their brains.
Muchas veces he tenido problemas porque no he podido dormir bien y me han dado pastillas, cápsulas para dormir, por lo cual he podido dormir un poco más, pero no me siento todavía débil. Mis piernas no me responden a veces bien. Cuando me siento bien es únicamente cuando tomo cápsulas que ellos mismos me dieron para el dolor. Pero el zumbido, el ruido en mi cabeza continúa. Únicamente me lo calman un poco y después continúa. Todas las mañanas despierto con un demasiado ruido en mi cabeza y mi garganta un sabor como a cobre y demasiado amargo.
The scar tissue that forms in the brain and the heart and the kidneys won't get better. And this lead damage will affect you for the rest of your lives.
I would like for all the guys that know this, that work out there, don't ever want to get leaded, because you don't feel right again. And you just don't have the power, the strength to do anything that you used to do. It makes you feel like you're an old man if you are a young man. So that's I lost everything I had.
There's no use worrying about your pension because you're not going to live to collect it.
Remember, Ephraim Beams, Clifford Bailey, Harold Buckles, Glenn Beck, Joe Medina, Lee Moore, Big Will Audrey, Emile Braxton, Hal Johnson, Willie Lemon, Frank Stokes.
Fully effective environmental programs are an important part of National Lead Industries' operations. The company, through our corporate environmental health department and local plant management, maintains awareness of the environmental quality at each of our 79 plant locations to be sure that we not only comply with current environmental regulations, but that we effectively anticipate any need for improved environmental control programs.
Don't want to die because I'm litty. Don't want to die because I'm litty. Don't want to die because I'm litty. Because I want a good way to live. My lead count for be 9. So they say. If they say you're 9, hell, I ought to be 25. The company doctor told me that.
The company doctor, he don't care if I feel sick. The only thing he cares about is about my blood count.
I was talking to Cox, and he relayed to me that he had a stroke. And from his stroke, they told John Cox that his lead count was extremely too high. Now, John Cox's lead count, I said, well, what's his lead count? He told me his lead count was 0.8. I said, well, how can this be? Your lead count is 0.8, man, and they tell me now my lead count already is 0.8, as of now. I said, well, how can they let him, how can they say that you can't come back to work because your lead count is still too high, and I'm still working at mine at 0.8 all right now?
None of you who I've seen have had a normal blood lead. Many of you have been told by the company that your blood lead was, quote, all right, unquote. I've seen many of you in the office here with blood leads that the company said were all right, who've had severe signs of lead poisoning. Let's be very clear about this. Any blood lead over 4 is abnormal, and you could have lead poisoning.
To protect the health of its employees in the Los Angeles area, the company has made mandatory the wearing of this respirator at all times. You see, JB, it works perfectly.
You got a respirator. Got 2 types. One they wash, and they bring it back to you with the same filter. But it's supposed to be clean. Because I mocked it. You get the same filter. Before they had the new respirators, you could change and get a new filter. So hell, it's better now than it was at first. But
Off them parts, man, you can't see in that pot room. And them respirators we was using, man, you can begin to taste that lead, you know, in your mouth. I've tasted a lot of times, man, and after you take the respirator off, you seize it all on your teeth. And
get on. This is the filter that the company issues you to wear in your respirator. You might as well breathe through a beer can. It won't work. Many of you have become lead poisoned even though you've worn your respirators. This respirator has not and will not keep you from getting leaded.
Well, I say I was waiting for national lead for 19 years, a little better. And everything went along beautiful, ain't no like a year. And so the last past year, after been working in the lead and right around the hardest and the dangerous part, they finally got next to me. So I finally got weak and lead poison and everything, and I had to come out for doctor treatment. After I went back to work for a short period of time, I got pulled right back off. Okay, well, when I came off the second time, then I got this letter stating that I was terminated. Now, I done got leaded, worn out, and I killed myself at the plant. Now, they're showing me just what they care about me. I think it's awful cold myself, you know.
they got made some improvements to health benefit. They give you coveralls from Taiwan, then you got a new shower and all that, but you still got lead.
In the last 8 months, there's been more men coming down with lead poison. It's been in the last 28 years I've been there. They claim they got better respirators and better equipment and everything, quite naturally have, but we didn't wear the respirators as much as we're wearing them now. And yet the still's getting more lead. Why? Why?
The company don't give a damn. You know, the company don't give a damn about nothing but making money. And this is it.
When the company sent some of you to an outside doctor to get the medical examination that they needed, they were very surprised by the fact that the company doctor wrote reports saying you were sick and you shouldn't be working. Instead of just going along and providing you with the workman's compensation benefits, the company instead decided to fire the doctor in the hope that they could find a doctor who's saying that there's nothing wrong with you.
You should not work here in this place and know that you're sick and don't do nothing about it.
I filed for working compensation. And I sign again for my health. And what good is all the money in the world and you can't do a damn thing with it? So I want my health, that's first. Then the job come later. Without me, ain't no damn job. That's where I see it. So I think I'm going for this conversation to find out what's really wrong with me. Because they can lie, because I see how they do when you send you and you hurt your feet or something. They might send you back and your bones broke. So I can't trust them. So I'm going to go somewhere and somebody know what they're talking about.
Yo fui el doctor me mandó aquí al hospital porque estoy enfermo de plomo desde septiembre del año pasado, 73. La compañía no quiere pagar y ya hice yo la aplicación para la compensación de los trabajadores y parece que vamos bien, vamos a lograr algo. La compañía piensa que no tengo nada, que estoy bien, pero solamente uno sabe lo que siente. Yo peleé a la compañía desde octubre 17 para la compensación de los trabajadores y me han recibido irregularmente.
And I went to my private doctor and he took a lead sample and found out that I was lead, and he also put me in the hospital immediately, and I began to receive a lot of tests, you know, like I had x-rays made of my stomach, I had brain damage tests made, I had heart tests made, and I think anyone that works for National Lead and know that they lead it, they should go to the doctor.
In thinking of ways to change the conditions here, we knew that the governmental regulatory agencies of APCD and OSHA would serve the interests of the company and not us. In a capitalist state like ours, all governmental institutions are controlled and in the service of wealthy owners of industry, the capitalist class. We also saw that we wouldn't be able to bring off a wildcat strike behind lead poisoning. So we decided to unite as many brothers as we could around filing for workmen's compensation. This means suing the company. We had a threefold purpose in doing this.
The first was to guarantee proper medical treatment to all the 65 brothers or so who were lead poisoned. The second was to put financial pressure on the company to force them to correct the poisonous conditions in the plant. We had no illusions about winning all these claims, but the act of filing the claims in itself entailed all 65 brothers who filed to receive comprehensive medical tests, which could cost the company as much as $250,000.
Our third purpose was to show the company and all the brothers in the plant that at least 1/3 of us were willing to take an open and defiant stand against the company and to force them to correct these terrible conditions.
We have went to the APCD, OSHA. We have had news conferences. We have had newsletters in the hopes to correct the problems at National Lead.
I'm glad they came. Hell, I didn't know about no lead until they woke me up. Now everybody got lead. And the farmers holler at you, hell, he don't know he breathing the same air you breathe. If he had good sense, he'd be fighting like hell too. He dying too. But he got a white cap on, so a white hat supposed to stop you from dying.
I've seen more changes in the last 8 months at Creeks than I have in the last 28 years I've been there. It's really have been a change made. No doubt it's coming somewhere from a small group that's pushing this thing. And I think they're doing a mighty good job.
Y yo pienso que todos debemos unirnos para salir adelante en esto, porque si no, no vamos a lograr nada. Tenemos el caso de Patricio, tenemos el caso de muchos más que nos han detenido el disability, nos han detenido con muchos problemas. No nomás nosotros los mexicanos, y también de los gente de color y los americanos que también han estado enfermos. Somos bastantes, somos muchos, somos promedio 60, 70 que estamos enfermos.
As every brother knows, the company has made more concessions around health and safety in the last 8 months than in the entire 50-year history of the plant. The reason for these changes is that some of us, or many of us, got together, stood up and fought. The government did nothing to help us. Instead, they tried to run games on us. And the union leadership only gave us token support with their mouths. This film shows the power of workers to change the wretched change the wretched conditions under which we live and work. And if we look at the history of this country, no worker has ever gotten anything from the capitalists without getting together and fighting like hell.
What do you think?
It's nice, man.
A little better than 2 years ago, I got burnt, got blown by the tip. And so the whole time I was lighting it, when I got ready to light it, well, it went off before I could turn any gas on. They told me later that the reason why it had been cut off, it was cut off perfect, but in other words, the old valve was low and was letting that gas through. And it blowed me about 6 or 8 feet.
During the time when my husband got hurt, he called me, and this the most thing that he had to drive himself all the way to the hospital, can't see, and he's also in intensive care, and he still didn't get no attention from the company's doctor. And what kind of place is that anyway? A slaughter pen?
And man, you know, I've been stocking pigs for quite some time. And I get slipped on the casting machine. When I reported it to the nurse, she sent me to the doctor. They took some x-rays. The doctor told me, said, Mr. Smith, he said, you got a chronic disease in your back for life. He says, you can't stock no more pigs. Well, they put me through to this specialist. I went there, he will tell me that he thinks I pull a muscle. After one doctor have showed me that where my bone was crooked in my back. So, you know, I just want to know what they gonna do about this.
They don't give a damn if the plant blow up, as long as you got your respirator on. They got some burners that far from the pipe. You light it, the gas build up. When the fire do hit it, it goes. But don't worry about that. The one knows you got your respirator on. They drop slag in water, and you can write a man up for the slag. Got a machine that run the water where they dump the slag. The man dumped the slag blows up. He said the man dumped it while it's too hot. If the damn water had been there, don't give a how hot it was, it wouldn't have blowed up. But they can run water in there. They see your faults, but they don't see a damn thing they do. They could have bypassed that water instead of putting it out there with the slag at. Those are hazards. They don't worry about it.
I've been working in the garage for 3 years now. I have went to the foreman and told him on many occasions that the equipment that he's sending back out to the employees have defects in them. And it has been nothing done about it so far as I've seen.
Now, they got foremen there will teach you how to, ride your respirator, but he can't tell you a damn thing about your job. You got to tell him what to tell you to be your foreman. Then if you go to the bathroom, he want to follow you. And make sure you did what you did. If you don't, he'll allowed to write you up. So I keep a stick in my pocket so I can show it to him if you need it.
Yeah, well, we have foremen out there, nothing but kids, telling men that's been out there 25, 26 years, older, longer than he is old, but they giving orders and they don't even know how to talk to nobody. They talk to people like they're kids or something, like talking to a kid.
Every time you turn around, you're looking in a foreman's face, and they don't want us to go out for lunch. When you come in, they want to hassle your lunch bucket, and when you leave, they want to go out through your belongings. And you just don't feel like coming to this place, man. This place has just done got like a prison.
I know it's a prison. They put new fences. Shank showed you that when he first come in. First thing he did, first agenda, to raise the fences high so you wouldn't jump out.
Yo soy José Luis Chávez, Yo he trabajado para la compañía National Led por 2 años y fracción de meses. El señor Brown me corrió diciendo puras mentiras a mi mayordomo. Fuimos a 3 meetings, de los cuales, por las mismas mentiras que el Brown disfrazó, me convenció a la compañía de que yo era el culpable. Pero yo creo que el señor Brown es una de las personas que nosotros tenemos encima, no nomás la gente latina, sino todos los que trabajamos para National Led. El señor Brown tiene la costumbre de autoritarse a hacer lo que él quiere dentro de ella. Yo creo que como compañeros que somos, cuidarnos unos a los otros de esta persona, hay que tener cuidado, porque ahora me sucedió a mí, mañana les puede suceder a ustedes.
For years, the company's been firing people unjustly down there. In fact, they can do almost anything they wanted to. But now that Chavez has won his arbitration, they're going to they're going to have to step a little softer. And it's only because we got together and as a union and forced this thing all the way through to arbitration that Chavez did win finally.
In the past, people wouldn't follow through with grievances. You know, they would pitch to the men themselves, say, hey man, you know, this guy did this to me, this foreman's fucking me over here. And that's where it stopped, you know, in the locker room. Like other people were kind of scared to put grievances because they thought they were gonna get some type of reaction from the company, or get fired or get harassed. But now that we've been winning these grievances, you know, going through arbitration and bringing people back, people are coming forward now and saying, well, hey man, I got a grievance.
Hey George, what do you think of your pay rate?
Not enough, baby, not enough.
No, it's not enough to live on, shoes. They're just sliding over the hump. That's all right now. Just enough to get by on, that's all.
What's going on? That's just a child. Time is marching on. Pretty soon I'll be gone. Yeah. I can buy the bread, so I'm gonna have enough to go to work, have enough strength to go back to work tomorrow. Gotta make enough bread to buy the bread. Have enough strength to go back to work another day, yeah. Anyway. Same old mean, same old stuff. Same old way you don't make enough. Cold blooded. Hell now. No, same old me, same old stuff. Same old way you don't make enough. Cold blooded.
Our last negotiation, I was on the steward committee. And when we went over to talk contract, the man asked us, what did we want? And I'd be doggone if we could tell him what we want. We was down at the union on Organ about, I want $10, I want $4, I want $3.
One guy say, if you give you 50 cents, I'll take it. One guy said, damn, I'll take it. And they sign contracts and things before they even bring it back to the body. You don't even vote on nothing. Shit, the thing already signed before you vote on it. What the hell is voting? Then they held a meeting on company property in the cafeteria to strike the company. When the damnest thing in the world, go to your house to get a stick, jump on you, borrow a stick. Say, give me, let me a stick so I can whip your ass. That's how much sense it makes.
One spell they tell you, well, don't take the offer that they come with. And the next 2 or 3 hours, they came back and tell you, man, you better take it. Which was wrong.
So anyway, the company's not handing out anything. Whatever you get, you're going to earn it. You're going to have to sweat and push to get it.
Negotiations for the next contract are coming up. You know, if we're going to avoid that happening again, I think we have to get clear what exactly we're going after, what we want, what we're going to be demanding of the company. So that I think in the next period of time, we're going to have to sit down together and have very specific meetings around different areas, different issues.
I'd love to retire, but how am I going to live with the retirement I'm getting? We should do something about this retirement.
We need to have a meeting just around pensions, where we lay out very concretely what kind of a pension plan we're going to be going after.
In other words, the policy we have is nothing. In other words, I got burnt. I went to the doctor as much as 6 months, but still they said I'm able to work and I don't need no money because I'm able to work.
We have to have meetings around health insurance and really talk out nitty-gritty what kind of health packages we want.
I would like to have more money.
More money.
We have to talk about wages. We have to get down to the penny what we're going to be asking for when we go across the street. We need to come out of this next period of time, the next 6 months, with a clear package that we can walk across the street and lay that down on the table and say, this is exactly what we want.
We need a better health insurance plan. Especially we need to improve the major medical program by eliminating entirely the initial deductible amount. We also need the addition of a dental insurance plan in the contract. That's something we don't have right now.
We need a cost of living clause that will keep our wages ahead of inflation.
Uno de los principales puntos que queremos para el próximo contrato es que nadie en la planta debe de trabajar si tiene un porcentaje de 0.05 o más de plomo en la sangre.
Cada uno de nosotros debería de tener el derecho de ser examinado por su mismo doctor, ya sea de enfermedad o de un accidente industrial dentro de la compañía. Y también el mismo doctor debería de darnos de alta o de baja.
We need double time pay for working on a holiday, plus the holiday pay. That means that we would get triple time for working on a holiday, which we should have.
A complete physics examination should be given every year to every man with 1 year of service.
We need 1 day of paid sick leave per month, and if it's not used, it should be paid at the end of the year, or it can be accumulated.
Y si alguno de nosotros tiene demasiado plomo en el cuerpo, la compañía debe de estar obligada a cubrir todos los gastos necesarios y pagarle a uno como si estuviera trabajando.
We need to have the right to refuse to work on jobs which we believe are unsafe or hazardous to our health without risking loss of pay.
We want double time for every department to have to work performance on Sundays.
All overtime should be voluntary, with a ban on overtime, any overtime, when our brothers are on layoff.
If the company violates the grievance time procedures, the company should automatically lose the grievance.
We need to negotiate a clause which will enable us to bargain on wages every February.
We need a voluntary retirement plan. After 30 years of service, regardless of age, pension paid immediately.
It's clear from our experience that the owners of National Lead, who are members of the monopoly capitalist class, are super exploiting the non-white brothers, while at the same time doing everything they can to separate the white and non-white workers in the plant. Now, it's necessary to understand that the monopoly capitalist class, that is, the imperialists, can't exist without exploiting and oppressing other nations and peoples, for example, the black and Chicano people. In the factories, these capitalists double exploit these people and use the ideology of national chauvinism and racism to justify their super exploitation and to further divide the working class. Chauvinistic and racist outlooks held by a certain section of the white workers are fundamentally opposed to the interests of all working class people, and this outlook serves only the interests of the capitalist class. Now, it's the task of the entire working class to oppose all forms of national oppression. This is essential if a true basis of unity is to be created between whites and non-whites. And white workers in particular have the responsibility to struggle with other white workers against national chauvinism and racism. And non-white workers have the task of uniting with their white working class brothers.
put more pressure on the company. I think the people in the plant should stick together, you know what I mean? All of us. The young guy, the old guy, the new guy, you know. And we can accomplish this, I believe.
To try to unite. Because if we don't have unity amongst the brothers at the plant, then we can't get nowhere.
Young guys worry about money. Guys with family worry about benefits, and the older workers worry about the pension. Me, like, I'm in the middle, man. I worry about everything. So if everybody thinks about, you know, everybody else's needs, you know, like if the young guy thinks about the older worker and the guy with a family, I think the unity will be there for the next contract. You know, we'll get everything that we want. But if everybody starts thinking about what their own needs, it's just going to be bickering. But if we all get it together, I think we'll have a good, strong contract.
Great things can be achieved by working together. And this is one phase where I think that we're going to surprise the company and show our strength by pulling together 100%.
Having unity is essential to winning a good contract. We've got to see that our struggle involves much more than just getting together every 3 years and trying to get a few more crumbs from the company. For it's been shown over and over again that the owners of industry, with their control of the government, have all kinds of ways of taking back what we have fought so hard to win. In the past decade, our real wages have dropped and our working conditions have gotten worse. And it's important for us to see that all unions are defensive organizations. They don't challenge the existing social and economic institutions. They don't challenge the right of the capitalist class to exploit us, but they just accept the capitalist system as it is. All unions exist only to defend the limited rights that we have under the rule of the rich. All unions exist only, you know, to win for us a little more bread and butter. But this is nothing more than working to lengthen the chain that's around our neck. All we got to do is bust that damn chain.
And the only way to do that, the only way to bring an end to these exploitive and oppressive conditions that we live and work under, is to destroy the system that is the basis for these conditions, and that is the capitalist system. And we must replace this bankrupt system that is a source of so much human destruction and misery with socialism. Socialism is not a bad thing. I mean, the same people, the same class that rule over these factory prisons of ours, and who are constantly trying to tighten that chain around our neck, these same people have been running a game on us. They have said socialism is bad. Socialism won't work. In whose interest are they speaking when they tell us these lies? In their interest, of course. They lie to us in order to keep us from seeing that there is an alternative to having some 30,000 capitalists ruling over and exploiting the labor of 85 million workers in this country. They lie to us in order to keep us from seeing the power we possess as workers. What we need is leadership to change these conditions.
And this is why we urgently need a multinational, revolutionary Marxist-Leninist Communist Party in this country, a party of the working class, a party independent of any capitalist control or any capitalist ideas, a party whose primary function is to teach our class its ultimate aim and its political tasks, and to organize and lead us in a successful socialist revolution. The working class without a revolutionary party is like an army without a general staff.
But what is socialism? Socialism is when the workers who have built all the tools, who have run all the machines, who have grown all the food, and who have constructed all the factories shall own them and control how they are used and what is produced. Socialism is having control over what happens to yourself every day of your life. Socialism is bringing democracy into the factories and all of the work of this country. Socialism is always putting the needs of the people, the vast majority of the working masses, first. With socialism, we'll be able to use the immense wealth that we produce in a planned and rational manner, because no longer will the blind, greedy thirst for profit be the force that determines what is produced and how it is used. Now, all that I've just laid out here in no way denies the importance of our struggles for better wages, for better benefits, and for better working conditions. But what I've tried to do is show you what our class interests are, and in the long run, what we're going to have to be fighting for and how we're going to win.
What they've done, for the
sure as the sun will shine, I'm gonna get my share. What's mine? And then the harder they come, the harder they fall. One and all. Ooh, the harder they come, harder they fall. One and all. Sure as the sun will shine, I'm gonna get my share right now. What's mine? And then the harder they come, the harder they fall.
If you're off the strike, go on a strike and get what you want. It's better to punish and get what you want than to punish and don't get what you're looking after.